thinking. sorry that we're crowded in here, but we were not able to use the auditorium tonight, so we'll just be cozy. It is Tuesday, June 21, 2022. I'm calling this regular board meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kelly, roll call, please. Excused.
Here.
Excused.
Here.
Here.
Delayed.
Here.
Here. Here, thank you. Matt, can you review the fire exits?
Exits are in the back of the LGI.
Great. First, we have open to the public. Is there anyone here who is here to make a public comment? Okay.
Retirees, now's your big chance.
Say it all.
Seeing none, I'm going to move on to our first workshop, which is our tenure and retirement workshop. Bill, are you going to be the MC for this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Welcome, Bill Rolone.
So good evening, members of the Board of Education, Dr. Landau, esteemed colleagues and staff. Tonight it's my privilege and honor to present two very special groups of people, the 2021-22 honorees of tenure and retirement. I know that I speak for all when I say how great it is to reach these milestones. For one group, they are leaving us after many years of continued service and dedication to bettering the lives of our students. And we have another group that are just starting out in their careers. They have grown tremendously throughout the last 3 or 4 years and continue to make a difference to our students. So on behalf of the Beacon City School District, congratulations. May you continue to shine throughout your lives. And for the next several minutes, we have members of our administration present with us who would like to, who will be sharing something about our retirees and also asking the people who are receiving tenure to rise and be acknowledged at this time. And the people, when your name is called, if you can just stand or raise your hand, I have something to give to you, so I need to see you. Okay? All right, thank you. And is Debbie Call here?
Did you go to that one?
Hey, Deb, go over to that one so
That podium?
you can, yeah. There's one available seat up front, too.
I would like to congratulate Virginia Connell on her retirement this year. She's been with the district for 16 years as a school bus driver. And in October of 2020, I started with Beacon Transportation, and Virginia was one of the first people that I met there. She was very welcoming and made me feel very at ease. Unfortunately, we only worked for a couple weeks before she went out on leave. So I had to kind of ask her coworkers what they knew of Virginia and if they could give me any insight on the kind of person Virginia was. So we had a lot of fun reminiscing and a lot of laughs. Virginia's first love is her family, which I understand is a very large family. She drove the special needs children and was one of the kindest, caring drivers. She was really good with the kids. Virginia also loved to crochet, and they said she could be found crawling around the driver's room trying to pick up her balls of crochet all over. Linda and Kathy started telling me some of their stories, some of which I can't repeat at this time. All I can say is that Virginia loved to have fun. With that being said, I wish you a wonderful retirement filled with good health, relaxation, and loads of fun. And if you ever feel the need to come back and drive, you're more than welcome. Congratulations.
Good evening. Tonight, I will start with our tenure recommendations. So the Beacon City School District and Glenham Elementary School would like to congratulate the following teachers and teaching assistants on their tenure. Please stand. Caitlin Lowe. Heather Nolan. Melinda or Mindy Gillio. And Janera or Jenny Torres. Up for retirement, first I have Elizabeth Hanrahan. I do not believe she was able to make it tonight. But this year the Glenham family will say farewell and congratulations to a fabulous kindergarten teacher. Mrs. Hanrahan has worked in the Beacon School District for 25 years and has been at Glenham for the last 7. Previously, Mrs. Hanrahan worked at JV Forrestal. She taught in 2nd grade, 1st grade, and now is in kindergarten. Mrs. Hanrahan has been a valued part of the kinder co-teaching team at Glenham. She is knowledgeable, a mentor for others, and an advocate for her students. Mrs. Hanrahan was also one of the first coaches for Girls on the Run at Glenham. We wish Elizabeth all the best and congratulations on her retirement. Next, we have Mrs. Martha Olive. The Glenham family would like to express our congratulations to Mrs. Martha Olive. Mrs. Olive finished her teacher certification in 1979 and was a substitute teacher in the district. She then accepted a position at IBM and received her degree in computer science, where she worked as a programmer and mentor for 28 years. Mrs. Olive returned to the district in 2009 as a substitute teacher, and in 2013 began as the AIS math educator at Glenham. Over the past 9 years, Mrs. Olive has taught the IRP programs, assisted with the school store, started an annual multiplication challenge with the math AIS students, and was the School Saver volunteer banker at Glenham, where she coordinated with local banks to teach students the process of banking. Although we are sad to see Mrs. Olive retire, we are happy to welcome her son Liam to the district, who just started working with us this year, and we also know that she will be moving on to the next adventure of taking care of her grandson. So congratulations.
My kids are still putting money in that bank account.
So already acknowledges Ms. Heather Nolan. It's been a pleasure and to recommend you for tenure as your time here at Glenham and at Beacon City School District. It's been a pleasure to watch you grow with your students and to take on every challenge with great excitement and enthusiasm and an opportunity to reflect on how much more you could do. And that's always your question. So thank you for your dedication to our students. In addition to teacher recommendations for tenure, Ms. Sasha Greenspan, who's a social worker here at JVF Elementary School, is being recommended for tenure as well. She joined the school district 4 years ago as a social worker and has had a tremendous run helping all of our students across the district and at JVF really develop a great sense of self, sense of pride, and sense of belonging from taking on working with groups and working with all of our students and our staff has really shown how much she can contribute to our community, extending her skill set all the way to the district and providing some support and helping us research and find most valuable and appropriate ways to support our social emotional learners, even during a pandemic. So it is a pleasure to also recommend her for tenure. And Ms. Jennifer Faraguzzi, it is my pleasure to also recommend her for tenure to the board. Thank you for being here tonight. Always taking on the challenge and helping us find other solutions to help some of our most struggling students here in the district. Always trying to figure out how to support her colleagues and support other students even when they're not part of her caseload. Always enthusiastic about trying something new and giving us feedback and telling us what are some of the things that we could do differently. So thank you for your service to the Beacon City School District and to our high school students, and congratulations.
Good evening. I'd like to acknowledge the following staff members who are going to be granted tenure tonight, and it's my privilege to introduce everyone. Zachary Joyce from Roundabout Middle School. I'm not sure if Zachary's here tonight. Carla Peters from Roundabout Middle School, special education teacher. And she's been very helpful in our resource room. Shannon Comito from Sargent Elementary School. Meredith Millen from my department on special education, and she's been our school psychologist and running the CPSE chairperson meetings. Talia Kodo, I'm not sure if Talia's here, but special education teacher at Roundabout Middle School. And my partner in crime, Julissa Rincon Tamazawi from PPS department and my assistant director of special education. I have two people that I'd like to acknowledge for their retirement. Linda Alexis, who is at Roundabout Middle School. Linda's worked for the Beacon City School District for 32.6 years. During this time, she provided special education support to students at Roundabout. During her time, she provided a lot of different accommodations and modifications to individualized education plans. Her ability to collaborate with the staff afforded her ability to partner and support students in a variety of different classrooms. Teachers occupy a position of great trust and sensitivity. They are charged with the responsibility to lead young minds into the mysteries of life. Our students have all expressed their gratitude to Linda for the work that she's done over the years. And I'm hoping that she has already started her retirement several months ago, and that she's enjoying herself. The next retirement I'd like to acknowledge is Marcia Switzer, my administrative school secretary in the pupil personnel department. Marcia's given the Beacon City School District 21 and a half years of dedication and hard work. Marcia did start off and was a clerical secretary to the principal over at the high school and then came over to special education. Marcia has been an inspiration and a role model to our new clerical staff in the department. If all employees were as hardworking and focused, the world would be a better place. During the pandemic, Marcia was there on the front lines with me at all hours, trying to navigate the virtual platform to ensure we are maintaining compliance, regulations, and timelines that still happen regardless of the circumstances we all had to navigate. Marcia is constantly looking for ways to enhance procedures for the department. We have had several changes in our clerical staffing, and Marcia's ensured that each new clerical member received the training while juggling her daily work. I only hope that whoever we get to replace Marcia in the role is as hardworking and career-minded. Her replacement has some big shoes to fill. On behalf of the Beacon City School District and from me personally, I wish Marcia all the best in her retirement. She will transition to the phase of retirement and will work part-time to support our preschool with disabilities in our department for the following school year. I am happy she is doing this so she could support the historical information and can be shared with our new assistant superintendent of PPS. All the best, Marcia, and thank you for the 21 and a half years of continuous hard work.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by recognizing some other tenure recipients at Roundabout Middle School. We'll start with one of our teaching assistants, and that's Vihid Barici. I don't believe he's here this evening. Next up in our foreign language department, we have Erica Hughes, who I know is up at the top there. Congratulations. And another member of our foreign language department, who is also here this evening, Christine Miroff. For administration at Roundabout Middle School, one of our assistant principals, who is in the back, Mrs. Biordi. Congratulations. I also have a retiree to speak about. So a retiree that we have in addition at Rombout Middle School is Kevin O'Donnell. Kevin O'Donnell is actually a unique individual for me. When I was in high school, he was my JV baseball coach. So we go all the way back to when I was playing. He was the JV coach. Moving past that, when I was doing my student teaching, I got the opportunity to observe him doing lessons at Rombout Middle School. He spent the beginning of his career at Rombout Middle School. He then transitioned to Beacon High School as a special education teacher, and we were colleagues at that point in time. So I was a math teacher, and he was doing ICT math classes at Beacon High School for about 7 years. Move past that, I become the principal at Rombout Middle School, and Kevin O'Donnell returns back to Rombout Middle School to teach self-contained social studies for the end of his career. Kevin truly was somebody that cared a lot about students, did whatever it took in the classroom or in the building, never ever complained about anything. Any assignment you gave him, whether he was working with another teacher, students, he was always student first and there for whatever we needed. I do wish him the best in his retirement. We will be visiting him often, and he was a great guy and can't wait to see him again. So I hope he enjoys his retirement. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very fortunate to be able to recognize 3 tenure recipients as part of the physical education and health program here in Beacon. The first from Rombout Middle School, a multi-sport coach, I might also say, Brianna Tobin. Next, our elementary phys ed teacher, once again a multi-sport coach and a great addition to our staff, Mr. Thomas Zenner. And finally, our new health teacher here at Beacon High School, who's done an absolutely wonderful job mending our curriculum and getting us up to date with everything that we need to be, Miss Diane Tansey.
Corey?
Good evening, everyone. First, to congratulate our tenure recipients, Maria Kalaf in foreign language, who is back here. Spanish, Italian, and probably any other language we would need in the future. And then CJ Barone, who I don't believe he's here, our science teacher. And Nisha Prahaladat Singh, one of our chemistry teachers. I now want to speak about our 3 retirees. Michael Gersh, who is here. Over the course of his 20 years at Beacon High School as our TV production teacher and manager, Michael Gersh has been a constant fixture at our athletic events, ceremonies, and performances. He has been instrumental in documenting the achievements of our students over these last 2 decades, and indeed, the first 20 years of this new Beacon High School would not have been the same without him. We are grateful for all that Mr. Gersh brought to our district, the courses he taught, the aspiring filmmakers and videographers that he mentored, and the many late nights and weekends he spent on our fields and in our theater. Congratulations to Mr. Gersh. Next retiree is Janet Gaspar. As a former student of Janet's, Mrs. Gaspar is weird to say, Janet now. I am particularly proud to recognize her 20 years of service as an English teacher at Beacon High School. She has taught English 9 inclusion, 9 honors, 10 honors, 11 regions, 12 regions, AP language, and innumerable electives. She was an advisor for the class of 2007 and for our student newspaper, the Creative Writing Club, the Women of the World Club, and the National Honor Society. I could speak personally to the high expectation that Missy Gaspar holds for all of her students and to her fierce commitment for their success. Missy Gaspar is beloved by her students and colleagues, and we will miss her a great deal. Congratulations to her. And our last retiree is Gail Quackenbush. I don't believe that Gail was able to make it tonight. Over the course of nearly 30 years in Beacon, Gail Quackenbush has been a valued member of multiple school communities. Most recently, as a teaching assistant at Beacon High School, Ms. Quackenbush supported our students in the activities of daily living class and later the testing center. Our thanks and congratulations to Ms. Quackenbush on her retirement. Thank you.
Is Janet Gaspar here? No?
Good evening. There are 2 additional staff members from JV Forrestal who will be receiving tenure. 2 of our teaching assistants. They are not here tonight, unable to make it, but the BCSD and JV Forrestal Elementary School would like to congratulate both Christina Reinl and Donna Pavone in receiving tenure. I would like to take this opportunity to speak to our retiree, Alicia Riley. Alicia, thank you for your 27 years of service and dedication to our students. Alicia Riley is a 2nd grade teacher at JV Forrestal. She is a resilient, caring, compassionate, and loving person who puts the needs of others, especially her students and families, first. An amazing friend and colleague whose heart is in the classroom is what her fellow staff members would say about her. Alicia started her career in the BCSD in 1994, and she is now closing her career as a 2nd grade teacher at JVF after 7 years, and we will truly miss her. Alicia, enjoy this next chapter of your life's journey. You will always hold a special place in the JVF family heart. Cheers. And congratulations on your well-earned and deserved retirement. It has been a pleasure to lead and serve with you.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations to all of our tenure recipients and folks retiring. Wish you the best of luck. We have 2 folks at Sergeant, 3 folks at Sergeant receiving tenure tonight. Shannon Comito has already been recognized. Congratulations. We have Jessica Stefano, who's taught 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade at Sergeant. And Oliver Edsforth, our 4th and 5th grade band teacher at Sergeant in South Ave. Congratulations.
Good evening from South Avenue. I would like to congratulate Bridget Kenton and Devetta Price on their tenure appointment. Please stand. The first retiree is Bridget Giovanni. I would like to wish Bridget Giovanni a happy retirement after working as an educator for the past 35 years. 31 years of her teaching were dedicated to the Beacon City School District. Ms. Giovanni taught at different grade levels, but kindergarten is her absolute favorite. She devoted the last 27 years of her teaching career in kindergarten. Ms. Giovanni is a dedicated educator that cultivated a good rapport with her parents and students. Happy retirement, and you'll be missed by faculty and staff. Retiree Cheryl Lang, she's not here, but I would like to extend a happy retirement. Cheryl Lang has dedicated her years of service to enhancing students' appreciation of music and music education. She's a dedicated educator that has a strong commitment to her students and the Beacon Central School District. Cheryl's musical footprint will be etched in the hearts and minds of our students and staff. Cheryl, you'll be missed. Have a happy retirement. And finally, Miss Sandra Covington started in the school district in 1999 in an 8th grade self-contained classroom. She was the dance choreographer for the plays at Roundabout, Guys and Dolls, Annie, and Hairspray. Since 2004, she worked with the City of Beacon Memorial Park, Green Street Day Camp, an after-school program in the Beacon Recreation Pool at South Avenue. She is fashion forward. She's our fashionista. And it's a dedicated teaching assistant. Have a happy retirement, Ms. Covington. You'll be missed at South Avenue. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It is my pleasure to speak about the soon retirement of Karen O'Connor, and she approaches the next chapter of her life. Karen has been working in the Beacon City School District for 20 years. She was hired first as a lunch aide at Sargent School in September of 2002 and continued working as an aide until 2010, where she not only supervised students at lunch and recess, but worked closely with many teachers during her time there. In February 2010, an opportunity arose at Sargent to become a part-time typist. Being a typist was much closer to her prior experience of being an executive secretary in New York City. She continued to work at Sargent for a little over a year and then moved to Glenham to be an hourly typist. Karen was very familiar with Glenham as she was a parent there and also the PTO president. She remained at Glenham until a position opened at South, where we all knew she would do great things. After some coaxing from us, she became the full-time typist at South Avenue in December of 2011, and later the administrative school secretary there. So when you have someone as talented and flexible as Karen, you will always go to her when you have an issue in another building. For Karen, that's exactly the situation. I personally have asked Karen to leave South and go to the high school, consider moving to JV Forrestal when there was an opening there, and even consider giving up all the schools and come to work at central office to help us out. Every time she's approached to move to another school or to central office, she always thought about what was best for the school district, even if it made her upset to leave her current school. Karen is a great administrative secretary, a great person, and a great friend. I would like to wish Karen only good things in her retirement and hope that she gets to enjoy her next adventure in South Carolina. We will all miss you.
All right. I would like to acknowledge one of our principals is getting tenure tonight, Crystal Sessoms Wiggins. So congratulations. Thanks for your 4 years of leadership at Forrestal. And I have two retirees I'm going to talk about. The first retiree is Richard Losey. He worked in the district for 33 years as a custodian, almost all those years at Forrestal Elementary School. When I saw his name on the list, I volunteered to do it because I drive past Forrestal every day, probably sometimes multiple times. I'll start with this. I don't think I've ever seen a school with a longer sidewalk than Forrestal, and when the snow hits Beacon, I don't think I've ever seen a cleaner sidewalk in my entire life than the one Richard Losey cleans, getting the school ready for the kids. He has even made an impression. My son is a student at Forrestal. I'd like to think that I make an impression about hard work ethic to my sons. Not me, it's Mr. Losey. So he is retiring. I think he's such a hard worker, he's sort of struggling with the notion of retiring. I saw him just the other day, and because we do talk fishing, and he's kind of hooked me up with some fishing spots in the area, which I'm appreciative of too. But he said, I don't think I can fish every day. So perhaps we welcome him back to help us out every once in a while to train the new generation. But he's just an amazing custodian. I want to give him some applause. He's not here tonight, but I want it on the record. And lastly, I want to talk about Don Condello, who's retiring tonight. I tried to keep it short. I have a lot to say, so I'll just go fast and quickly through it. But Dawn started in the district in 1991. She served 3 roles: school psychologist, principal of Glenham Elementary, and director of PPS. In all 3 of those roles, she's been an incredibly student-centered leader and professional. As principal of Glenham, Dawn established a sense of calm at the school and developed policies and procedures that focused on things like student safety and student wellness. One former parent at Glenham said Dawn was always visible, always everywhere, always open to talk, always a phone call away, and she always had the best interests of the students at her heart. She led efforts at this school to both beautify the school and also establish Glenham with a strong identity and a positive culture. 6 years ago, Dawn took over as the director of PPS. I was not here at the time, but from what I understand, There was some begging that took place to get her to take it, so thank you for responding to the begging. But she brought a sense of stability to that position and department, immediately began making changes that resulted in positive outcomes for students. One colleague says about Dawn's tenure in this role as director of PPS, Dawn was incredible with follow-up. If she did not know an answer, she would get the answer and relay it back. She always followed through on things she started, and she always helped make decisions with a focus on student needs. She was an absolute pleasure to work with. Dawn is leaving the department in a better place from when she took over and in a very good position to keep moving in a positive direction. Dawn has a fourth role in the district that I want to just briefly mention. I would like to call it caretaker of the district, or one of the caretakers of the district. Dawn has always been one to offer suggestions, feedback, and lend support during challenging times to many of us in the district. I personally have lost count of the number of times over the last 5 years Dawn has reached out to me with ways to help and support on an issue that I've been struggling with or people have been struggling with that was not exactly part of her job description. The number of times I and many others receive these emails or texts starting with, hey, do you need help with blank, are frankly too often to count. That kind of willingness to support leadership in the district, anybody in the district 24/7, is really immeasurable to what we do here. I'm incredibly thankful for all the support that I've received from you, and I want to say that on behalf of everyone else. And thanks for always taking that extra step. We really appreciate it. So in her retirement, Dawn's going to have more time for parents, husband, children. I've always been impressed with the dog training that I've seen you do, and Bon Jovi. So, and you've earned this time, and hopefully you keep finding ways to support us in retirement. But thank you, Don, for everything.
Are we going to refreshments now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, this concludes our service here. We have refreshments in the cafeteria, so we would like to invite you all to participate in that at this time. Thank you.
It's not just refreshments, it's the Kelly cake. The cake. think we're ready to get on to workshop number 2, the capital project update. Perry is here to give us the lowdown.
Does it work here?
I think so. Is this mic working?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So I know that you have on your agenda tonight to approve some budgets, and I just want to bring you up to speed as to how we got to that point and where we're going from here. We had a bid opening on June 9th. Just go through some of the basic information. We had the first bid, or I guess the first bid that I'll go over is we had boilers. We had 3 separate boiler projects that we bid. One for Sargent, one for Forrestal, and one for Glenham. Thank you. So the first of all, and we received 5 bids from on each one of those projects, and we chose to bid them as separate projects, thinking that we would get more bidders rather than just being one bid and then being locked in with one contractor. The rationale was to have 3 separate bids. We could get smaller contractors that would be able to handle all the work, and also perhaps would work out better for scheduling as well. The results came out not really to support that, but it was a good idea in the beginning. So we ended up, we had 5 bids on the Sargent boilers. We had 4 bids on the Forrestal boiler. Sargent, we were replacing 2 boilers. The lowest bid was MDS HVAC that we've used in the past for service work. They later found out that they had made an error in their bid and were asked to be released from that. And generally, we would always do that. The last thing you want to do is to go to contract with a contractor that doesn't have enough money in the project to get the job done. So the second bid, second lowest bid was S&O Construction Services out of Pleasant Valley. We have discussed the project. We go through what we call a de-scoping part of the project, which is where we just go through the different elements, making sure that he understands all of the documents, all of the plans, the work that needs to be done, the schedule. It's a standard element that we do with all bids. And that meeting came out favorable, and we are, I think, the architect, construction manager, and myself all recommend that that S&O is the right contractor for that work, and would recommend you award that bid. The other was the JV Forrestal. In this building, we're only replacing 1 boiler. You may remember you replaced a boiler a couple of years ago. So it's just a matter of replacing a boiler, which actually is totally non-functional at this point. So, and let me back up. The Sargent Elementary School, those boilers, based on the lead time that it's going to take those boilers, will probably be installed next spring. There just isn't another lead time, how long it takes to get boilers at this point.
So we have to make it through an entire.
We're going to make it through
another school year.
We're going to make it through the entire winter. We're already talking about having those the existing boilers serviced and maintained to give us the insurance that we need to keep them going. The good thing is the buildings have 2 boilers. They're sized such that 1 boiler will support the building through most of the season. So it gives you full redundancy if something should go down. As long as you've got both boilers functional, we'll be in good shape. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury at JV Forrestal. The second boiler at JV Forrestal is non-functional, and I don't think has been operational in at least this past heating season. I don't know whether it was this heating season before. So that one we were pushing for him to get the boiler. It's a different style boiler, and I can get into the technical side of it, and you'll fall asleep before I get through it. But it's a sectional boiler, a little more readily available. But so he's working to get those parts, all the pieces necessary to put that boiler in place, and we will have him do that work start as soon as he can. It's the type of thing where he could work on that boiler, installing the new boiler, even as we start to get into the heating season. We can be isolated from the rest of the system, so that new boiler can be put in place and brought up into service as soon as it's completed. There too.
Sorry, Perry.
Oh.
So meaning during this school year, the 22-23.
Yeah, it could be done, in the fall. Yeah, it'd be the fall of '22.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would expect before we get to the heaviest part of the heating season, that boiler would be operational. And that boiler has been specified to match the existing boiler that's there, the new boiler that you purchased a year or two ago. And that is also the low bid, again, was MDS on that. They too had they made the same error on all of their bids. So asked to be released from it. And S&O Construction, again, is the lowest bidder, remaining bidder. And again, I think everyone on our team has worked or had some experience with S&O, and it's been favorable, so we have no reason to think that we won't have good results in the end. The other bid that we received was for the electrical work at Rombout Middle School. And I didn't talk about Glenham. I did not talk about Glenham. So Glenham, we did take a bid on Glenham. We did the same bid on Glenham and we received five bids there as well. The plan is to replace the 2 boilers that are there. The numbers were just higher than budget. I will say that all of the numbers that we received were, generally speaking, a little higher than what our budget is. But we feel confident that we can make it up elsewhere, and there are some places that we see some savings available. The Glenham boilers, still doing some research. My opinion, and it happened the first day that I came on site and saw those boilers, I was a little surprised that we were planning on replacing them. The boilers were put in 1998, which means that they're 24 years old. They're a Cleaver Brooks, which is kind of the Cadillac of the industry as far as a workhorse. I've worked on Cleaver Brooks boilers, and I would bet that they're still in operation, that were probably put in the 50s and still operational. Very serviceable. So there's a few different things that we can do to extend the life of those, and I won't say that a decision has been made at this point, but there's a small investment, I say relatively small investment of maybe upwards of $50,000 that could extend the life of those boilers perhaps for another 10 years. That's not to say that you won't have some repairs and maintenance that would need to be done, but it may be a better investment than replacing boilers. So the more discussion to come on those. Thank you. So the other bid, it was for the electric. This is for the service work. We're replacing the main feeder, main electrical service coming from the building, running through the building. We did receive 5 bids on this as well. So, and I mentioned how many bids we got because if you get 5 bids, and you feel pretty good that whoever the lowest bid is probably where the market, the best of the market. When you get anything less than 3 bids, you have to start to be a little concerned as to, maybe you just didn't get the right people or we didn't get enough people. But getting 5 bids kind of takes that away. So here it was, I got to make sure I don't mess it up again. Hudson Valley Electric was the low bidder at $300,000. There again, we went through the process of doing a de-scoping of the project with them to make sure that they understood the full scope of the work and what was expected, and that went without flaw. The group has also worked with Hudson Valley Electric in the past, so everyone has good expectations that work should be awarded and can be successful. The other part of the project that was bid was the site work, which included the paving at Rombout Middle School, and that was done. There was a base bid and a series of alternates. One of the alternates was actually the paving at Sargent Elementary School. Those numbers came in well over what our budget was, and we only received 1 bid. So we, immediately were a little reluctant and took a little effort. And I don't believe that this is on your agenda for tonight. But it's informational. It will be coming your way sometime in the future. We have made the recommendation that we reject that bid, and that we go back out to bid in January, February of '23 for the '23 summer season. We did talk to some of the contractors. So we had, as part of the process as we bid, all the drawings are distributed electronically now. So we get reports as to who's taken drawings, who's requested drawings from the plan house. And there were multiple contractors. We had reason to believe that we were going to get multiple bids, and you know, we make phone calls. I know that I made phone calls. I think that Jeff made phone calls to contractors that he knew, all encouraging them, you know, kind of coaching them along, say, okay, we need these bids, we need these bids. And it looked like we were gonna be okay, and for whatever reason, we didn't get the bids. I spoke to one of the contractors that I'm familiar with, and his response was, it's just too late in the season. It's June, you know, it was early June. He's already got his summer work already lined up, and this was for the summer's work, and just didn't feel that he was going to be able to get there. He actually also had a death in his family, so that interrupted his bidding process as well. But he was good enough to provide, after the fact, he did provide me with some of the numbers that he would have provided for a bid, and they're more in line with our budget. Still a little above our budget, but more in line with our budget. So we're going back, working with the architectural firm to look at Tetra Tech, to look at the specification, make sure that we've got that where we need it to be, and then we can go back out to bid in January, February. And we expect that we'll get better results at that time for construction. Let me think. So any questions before that's the bidding process, and that's where we are in the bidding process.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say we asked Perry and Jeff to come do this brief overview, just because we had, you know, with the busy end of the year, we haven't been able to have a facilities committee. We wanted to provide a little bit of context for the bid vote tonight. So it doesn't have to be like a long, you know, presentation. We just wanted to get you the information and be able to answer any questions you have.
So I guess I have a question about the timing on why we're going out for a project that's this construction season, and we're putting it out on the street in June, is that right, for the?
Yes.
For the site work?
Yeah, it really is just a matter of the way, and I wasn't here for all of the way this started out, but once the project, we couldn't go out to bid until the project was through State Education Department review.
True, yeah.
So,
How did that go this cycle? We've been through this mill before, and in our previous program, we actually paid a little extra to get the outside review to speed it up. I think Jeff remembers we had to do that to kind of expedite matters, but.
We did on this, but State Ed has got a process now where they'll sub out the review, but then their own project managers have to review all the paperwork, and that usually always took a week and a half to 2 weeks. Now it's taken 6 to 8 weeks, and we were already late getting it designed. And it's just unfortunate that we were unable to accept the bids until June 9th, knowing that we're looking for work in the next month.
It's one of those things where everybody in the chain of sequence decides to take their time that they need or that they take. And it's cumulative, yeah. So just one bid, Argenio, I mean, but there were, how many people pulled the file on that looked?
I think there were 5 site contractors.
4 or 5.
Yeah. Well, that's,
And the people we talked to, the ones that I talked to said that they pulled the plans hoping that they could get it done. But when they saw the size and scope of the project, they were just too busy to promise that they could get it done in the 10 weeks of the summer.
okay. On the boilers, basically you're recommending that on Glenham we not proceed with this bid. Obviously, retubing is about 1/10 the cost of the S&O bid for replacement. And based on what you're saying about the longevity of these units, is your recommendation that we should now explore retubing? Is that something that we can fit into this program, or is it outside of this program?
So that's a good question yet. I don't know whether we can fit retubing inside of this program, because retubing would really be more of a maintenance function, not a capital. But I don't know that they may not, you know, it's a matter of a discussion to have with State Education Department. Before I would go to that, our next plan would be to service the boilers, meaning getting the boilers opened up, getting a look on the inside and see if there's any other issues that we may not be aware of. You know, is there stress on the sheet that holds the tube in place? Is there any major issues with the refractory? Is there anything else that might suggest that, okay, the boilers, you know, maybe the boilers do need to be replaced. I also haven't had a chance, and Jeff made a good point, is reaching out to your last director of facilities, Anthony, and find out what experience he's had with the boiler. You know, if there's anything that he could share that I may be overlooking. So I'm sharing with you my thought process and the way that I feel I'm somewhat methodical in the way that I go about it.
And the boilers were on the building condition survey as needing to be replaced, but are there any notes about why, or do we not have that level of detail?
I haven't seen any detail about it, and I know that you've had problems, you know, keeping boilers operational in that building and in other buildings. Some of it may have been just a lack of maintenance.
Well, sometimes you want to talk to somebody low down on the food chain, like the guy that actually has to fix them when they go kaploop.
Right. So
See what they say.
Mike, I'm not good with names. Mike Hawks, who has been on your staff for 20 plus years, I believe. He and I have had conversations about it, and you know, he's not offering an official opinion, but he thinks that perhaps, you know, he's not in disagreement to the idea of retubing and extending the life of the boiler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It sounds like an
Is it just
attractive
based on
opportunity.
age, do you think?
Pardon me?
That it was just based on the age of the boilers, that there was, if we were going out for this program, that would replace them all? Is that what the thinking was?
It'd be speculation. I mean, and again, I think that, so, one of the things that I speak of is the irony of the way that state education department funds work. They will give you funding to replace a boiler, but they won't give you funding to maintain a boiler. You know, the industry, you know, the property management industry knows that for every dollar that's spent in preventative maintenance, you can save $4 to $7 in cost replacement. But state education just hasn't caught up to that concept yet, and so that's one of the things we struggle with. It's, you know, the run till failure is often a situation that the school districts find themselves in.
So MDS, they withdrew their proposal for both Sargent and JV Forrestal?
Actually, all three. They had also bid on Blenheim, and they withdrew their proposal for it as well.
Okay. So Sargent, you received 5, 1 withdrawal. That goes down to 4, right? You said it's not good if you have 3, then you have to start.
Less than 3. I would say that three is kind of the point. I mean, three and above is always
Comfortable.
Comfortable.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then I guess so with the withdrawal, yeah, JV had 3 and Sargent had 4, so I think we're good there, right?
Yeah. We still have 3 bids for.
Yeah.
For it. Yes.
Okay. And so the bids went out for Rombout, Glenham, JV Forrestal, and Sargent, and but Rombout was for electric, not for the boiler.
Correct. The Rombout was for electric work.
Okay.
And there's also Rombout was for the site work as well.
Site work, okay. All right, and so then the site work and the Glenham boiler work, we're gonna look at that again, right? So
yes.
The Rombout work is just the timing. Glenham work maybe since the price was too high, was going to maybe look at the boilers themselves and see what we can do with them.
Well, he also said that we should, because of the quality of the boiler, that there's likely something that has more longevity in it because of that brand.
There's good potential that there's still plenty of life in that boiler, and we're going to do the legwork to find out and know whether it, to confirm that it has.
So would it be like for Glenham? Would it be maybe just half a boiler needs to be replaced or something like that, or?
Well, you don't really replace a half a boiler, so there's two boilers, so it's really a matter of whether we, one of the options that I've discussed is the retubing, to do a retubing of a boiler, and that is, and like I say, I can get into as much detail as you want, but it's a matter of like replacing part of the interior of the boiler, what sees the heat, and the heat on one side and water on the other side. If we could replace those parts with the expectation that it would now have probably another 10 years or perhaps more of life.
And those parts are the parts that typically fail.
Yeah, those are, yeah. And as a matter of fact, we had a tube fail in one of those boilers just this past, I think it was February, when we had to replace the tube.
That's considered maintenance, unfortunately.
That's considered maintenance, yes.
So,
Yeah.
And this could be for another time, or we bring up at facilities, but I just want to kind of put it out there so we'll remember it. Should we talk about like training maintenance people for these systems? Because, you know, you mentioned that sometimes there's a lot more longevity available if they're maintained properly.
Well, I'm a huge advocate for training. I think the other part of it is having a robust preventative maintenance program, so that you are routinely opening these boilers up, doing the repairs that are necessary, making sure that they're operating at their greatest efficiency. But there's a cost. There is a cost associated with that. It's often not a skill set that you will have in-house. It will often require an outside contractor. A boiler, routine boiler service can be in the range of $3,000, $5,000, $6,000 each year.
Well, we had like a 25,000 plus budget for our systems here, like a consulting thing for the high school. So there might be room to talk about that. I think we should probably have that added to the agenda for the next meeting, and if you can make recommendations for what a program like that would look like, I think that would be really helpful.
I'm happy to say that I also see on your agenda that you're considering the appointment of a new director of facilities.
Yes.
And we've had that conversation already.
Oh, cool.
And that
Okay.
should be, I would recommend that would be a point that he would work on in pretty good depth. And the point is, and I'm not trying to get away from something, but
Where are you going, Perry? What are you trying to do? You can't leave us.
Preventative maintenance can be like a world hunger type of an issue, and you just have to keep picking away at it. So it takes some longevity. It takes some time. I mean, you start off small, you get some quick work done, but then it's a process. It's a continuous process.
I had a Peerless boiler in my house, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Because anytime we tried to replace it, someone would come in and be like, "But this is a Peerless."
It's a Peerless, yeah.
And so then
Yeah.
we just got parts for years and years.
Maintenance service contracts will be especially important to your new boilers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Well-
that's something we should really talk about, a program and planning for it and putting it in the budget.
Yep, and it's a perfect time when when it's there. Everyone, every one of these pieces of equipment as they're put in will have training provided that to bring everybody up into a place where they know as much as they can. But then creating a system so that it's a preventative maintenance program from day one to take care of it. Yeah.
Is there anything in either supplemental devices or in the design that would help prolong the life of the boilers?
Well, it is just that. It's preventative maintenance. It's going in and looking to see if something minor has occurred and dealing with it before it becomes major. Or water chemistry is a big item in boilers, making sure that you've got the right pH, maintaining the right pH, also using chemicals that are oxygen scavengers. Rust corrosion is probably one of the deadliest things to a boiler. So those are parts of the program that you want to beef up.
And we don't have those, right?
We have some of that. I won't say that you don't have any, but there's an opportunity there to do better.
Okay.
Thanks, Perry.
Okay.
Appreciate the
And,
update.
I'll just part with saying that we continue to work on all of the design of the Phase D meeting. I think we have meetings tomorrow. As a matter of fact, we had meetings last week. So things I think are going well in that direction.
That's great. I know it's a really tricky time to be doing any of this, so
Yeah.
just keep plugging away at it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night. Can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session to review the employment history of a particular individual, and the board will return in an hour?
So moved.
Second. Second by Flora. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm in favor. Passes 7-0. Reviewing the agenda, there are a few changes. 11.04, non-instructional personnel, 11.04H, titles and salaries added, 11.04J, new appointment, 11.05, instructional personnel, 11.05B, resignation for retirement, 11.05Z, appointment removed, 11.05ZZ, new resolution, and 11.09, reduction of assessment, correction of typographical error. I do not see any parent or student school presentations in the audience, so moving on to Matt's report, superintendent's report.
I'll be brief tonight. I wanted to start with thanking Alyssa Betterbid for her 4 years of service on the board. I know she's unable to make it to the meeting tonight, but I wanted to just put it on record in terms of just a huge thank you for all the time that she's given the board, the district, me, over the last 4 years. Chaired the policy committee for a number of years, which is a challenging committee to chair. There's a lot of review and work with that, and also just her advocacy on a number of different issues, but especially student access to different things in the district. So just what I thought I'd be doing it in person, but I just wanted to share a thank you for Alyssa's service to the board. I also just, we're kind of in the middle of moving up ceremonies, graduations, et cetera. We have 2 more left. We have moving up 5th grade Forrestal tomorrow, and then roundabout Thursday night. And there's just been this beautiful theme, not a surprise, but through all of them. And it's just kind of like how this year definitely had some unknowns at the beginning of the year, but just how powerful it was to really return to doing all the things we know and love this year. And that's kind of been repeated by every speaker at every single ceremony that I've heard so far. And it's just been really, really gratifying and just really celebratory to hear that in the midst of all the running around that we do at the end of the year, trying to sort of tie up loose ends. So it's just, we've had a great ending, and we have a few days left and a few more ceremonies. And it's, it was great to see many of you at these too. So thanks for your support with that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Committee reports and board comments. Anthony?
Good evening. I don't have a committee report, but I will say that I do apologize for not attending the ceremonies. I missed so many. But I did get approached at the post office complimenting our high school graduation. Kudos to everyone that are organizing all these ceremonies and and making memorable landmarks to our students as they move on to the next phase. So that's all my report.
Thank you. Eunice?
I'm not part of a committee yet, but I just want to say that I attended the graduation for the high school, and it was just a great experience for me. It was the seniors' energy was. It was unbelievable for me as a board member. Attending the graduation was just great to experience it and be part of it. But their energy was great, and I feel like, positiveness. Again, we ended the school year on a good note, and it was just good to be there. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony?
No comments.
Kristen?
Thanks to Perry tonight for bringing that, the facilities capital project information, and also to all his work that he's been doing. And very excited that we will be bringing on a new director of facilities. It's a very important role, and very looking forward to working with this new hire. And that's it. The graduation was lovely. Very nice end of the school year so far. So a couple more days. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Craig?
Oh, there's so many personnel things to talk about. I shouldn't start, but it's always a nice meeting when we have this tenure and retirement affair. And thanks for the cake. It was nice to have that and a cup of coffee as well. I did attend the graduation. I'm very glad to make that scene again. We had perfect weather at Dutchess Stadium. and in the evening for a change, which made it a little bit cooler. And it's just a pleasure to watch all those young people, some of whom I knew as when they were this high, walk across the stage, barely recognizable as they attain the ages of 17 and 18. And then I also was able to go to the Calico Ball and watch our third graders perform dances from around the world. And the final event there is with all of the third graders singing a song. And I have to hand it to Mrs. Wright to be able to coordinate all these different classes singing the same song and in parts, which is remarkable, really. And then there's this big guy in the middle who stands up to sing with them, and that happens to be Tom Chapin. And he's done this for a number of years. He performed at the town crier this past weekend, so I went up and thanked him on behalf of the board for doing this for a number of years, and he just put his hands together, namaste, and said he loves to do it. So that's my report. I have no committee reports because we haven't met. I did review the required documents that were forwarded by our CFO, and I had no questions on those.
Thank you so much. Flora?
Yes, so congrats to all the retirees and tenured staff. It's always good to sort of end the school year on that note, and I'm really excited that coffee is back, so thanks.
Tonight, sorry.
Yeah, well, you never know. I live in hope. I was also at the graduation. It was my first time at the Beacon High School graduation, and it was such a cool experience because I feel like so much of what we do, it's supposed to be about the students, and a lot of times it sort of wanders into all these other directions, like managing the land under the stadium that we were in, or, you know, like personnel things and stuff like that. And so it was so cool to sort of see these children who are a result of the work they do, and see the way that they were totally excited for and supporting each other, which was just so touching because I have young children, so I always think of teenagers as scary. They were like really sweet and excited and full of hope, and that just made me really proud of them and also of us as a district. And then I also wanted to say, as the parent of a fifth grader who is moving up and who just went to Sharp and came back like a young man and has done all of this other cool stuff, like, you know, going to Rombout and doing the ice cream social. I wanted to thank all the staff and especially the volunteers who make all that stuff possible, because it's really made it special for him in a way. Like when I was a kid, we never did stuff like that. You just kind of like went from the one thing to the next. And I really have an appreciation now for the way these rituals are showing them the passage of time and like how special it is. So thank you to the PTAs and the PTOs who really helped make that possible. And that's it.
Thank you. I wanted to also thank Alyssa for her service and just finish her work here by saying that there are some policies on the agenda from our last policy meeting for a first read. No major changes in any of them, but we continue to change the language to make it a little more clear. And yeah, I don't think there's anything really that I need to bring to your attention about that. And also congratulations to our tenure and retirees. I was really touched to see some of the teachers that my children had at South Avenue, and they remain some of their favorite teachers and really, really influenced them. So thank you for that. And that's all for me. We do not have any new business tonight, so I'm going to move right on to the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. Are there any items that any board members would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve 11.01 through 11.37? Yeah.
Second.
Anthony, second from Flora. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm in favor. Passes 7-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second for the motion to
Second.
adjourn? Flora, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm in favor. Passes 7-0. Thanks. Have a great night, everyone.
Oh, that was quick.